Good evening, my friends. I want to give you my 3 best tips for how to get the most out of coaching if you are working with a coach in your chronic illness recovery using neuroplasticity. I have been coaching for about 5 years, almost 5 years. So, in that time, these are my best. The number one thing is before you get on a call with your coach. This applies with all coaches, by the way, not just me. Anyone you're hiring, you could be working with any coach in your process. Focus on your process. So before you have your call, sit down and go over the basic tenets of whatever program you're using, DNRS or Gupta or Primal Trust or Regulator, whatever, and look at, okay, how have I been applying the principles I've been given? How have I been applying this? Not what has my limbic system been doing since the last call? That is so huge. A lot of times I get on calls and people tell me all the ways their limbic system has been behaving since the last time we chatted. And that's not what the process is about. It doesn't really tell me much. It doesn't give the coach much information about how to help you. Now, what that could look like is getting on and being like, well, I've had lots of symptoms and I've had all these fears and I've been really stuck. It's like, okay, that's pretty normal. That's pretty standard. Everybody's going to be in that boat. I know that already. Your coach is likely going to know that already, whoever they are. So going back to instead and saying, okay, I'm noticing I'm having a really hard time not believing the false messages. I've been body checking, I've been fortune telling, I'm in a rut all day. I'm having a hard time, applying the program or neuroplasticity in this way. I keep believing my limbic system and thinking this is about symptoms. And I notice that I'm in that all day and I'm not sure how to get out. Help me with that. Help me get out of that loop. That's a question that your coach can actually take and work with. So focus on the process and doing the best you can, which you're not always going to be perfect because you're in this and you're learning it. That's understandable, but you're going to get a lot more out of that call if you take a half an hour before your call and go over the science and the program you're using and try to make your questions come from a place of, I'm doing this and it's not about what my limbic system's doing. It's about what I'm doing and I'm applying this information and how can I apply it more effectively? Where am I struggling to apply the information and how can I ask for help with that? That's what your coach can help you with. They can't help with they can't make your symptoms go away. So that's something just to be aware of in terms of getting the most you can out of coaching. Coaching is expensive. It really is. And it's a really valuable resource, but it's not an efficient way to, it's not efficient use for a lot of different things. So that's the first thing. The second thing is do not save coaching for emergencies. That is one use it has, but generally speaking, it's not the best use. You can use it. You can schedule a call when you're really stuck and struggling, and then your coach might be able to pull you out. But generally, coaching is a place where you can really go deep with understanding yourself and your own limbic system and your own patterns and how to apply the science and the neuroplasticity to you. And this is nuanced, difficult, tricky stuff. The more heightened of a state your brain is in, it's going to be it is pretty much impossible to make progress because your brain's not going to be able to understand or engage with anything beyond, I'm panicking, calm me down, tell me something that makes me feel better right now. What's happening? That sort of thing. We can't go into anything deeper. A lot of the biggest breakthrough calls I've had with clients have been on calls where either it was just a routine call or they actually were like, well, I didn't really think I needed this call, but I decided to keep it anyways. And then it ended up being one of the best calls we've ever had. And they had huge aha moments because the more relaxed your brain is, the easier it is for you to really understand what you're doing and have some really amazing breakthrough moments. So if you want to get the biggest bang for your buck, schedule calls on some sort of regular basis. Even if that's once a month, it doesn't need, or once every 2 months or 6 weeks. It doesn't need to be like every week, depending on your financial resources. But having it something where you are creating accountability and scheduling it as a routine thing, it is really, really helpful for getting more out of it, getting more for your money. And also it changes this pattern where a lot of times if we have limbic impairment and we're in a rut, we only take action when we're in crisis mode. So we're still living in response to our limbic system and waiting for a crisis to really get serious about doing something to change. That's its own trauma loop. So being consistent is you saying, I'm the one living my life now. I'm choosing to get help on a regular basis and really go deep with myself and my process. And that's what I'm doing. I'm not going to wait for my limbic system to, throw a party before I schedule the call. The last thing is take notes. record the call if you can. You can get, if you have another device like an iPad or another phone, you can just put yourself and your coach both on, like put your coach on speaker and record the call so you get all of it in there. I know I do record some things for people on Zoom. If we do a Zoom call, I can record on there and send it to you. So go over the recording or take notes, or, and try to apply what you got from that call in between your calls. And I want to highlight this. What you get from your coach may not work for you. You may not be applying it and realize this isn't working. And that, your coach doesn't always know the first time the best approach for you. And it can be really helpful if you try implementing, and if it worked, that you can tell your coach that's good feedback, that they're understanding correctly and giving you good advice. But even if it's not working, that's also helpful, because then, if it was me, come back, I'm like, okay, cool, that wasn't it. I probably have, as I can say for myself, like 3 or 4 other ideas for each problem someone brings me, and I give it the one I think is the most accurate, but I've always got more ideas. So when you implement that, it means you're staying actively engaged in your process. Also, keep learning, keep applying the science in between. I really encourage people to have other forms of accountability, take, workshops from my website, or go back over the program you already have. Follow somebody like Kathleen King on Instagram, watching videos here. Keep yourself actively engaged in between, so that you are using coaching as a way to get really personal, nuanced advice. A lot of people don't do this, and they want me to teach them the basics of neuroplasticity on calls. It's a very, very inefficient way to do that financially. And also for me, it's not really what coaching is about, and it's exhausting to explain the same things over and over again. So that's why I did workshops, so I could have like an hour breakdown of, well, how do you get out of the freeze response? Here's an hour on that. How do you work with dissociation? There's an hour on that. And then you can apply that. And when you get stuck, you can bring that question to the call and we can work out the details. That is so apply in between your sessions, so that you can bring the most nuanced questions to that call, and again, get the most benefit out of them for the least amount of money on your end. All right, love you guys. Take care.